Hello, beautiful people. Another day, another video. I commit to creating daily videos, so I do what I say, right? Today, I want to talk about a topic that has come up a few times in conversations with friends. So, a few of my very dear friends shared with me their struggle with dating during Corona, dating during the pandemic. And I wanted to share my thoughts on this topic in today's video because I believe that it could be beneficial for you if you are also struggling with dating during the pandemic to think about these ideas and hopefully get a different perspective on your current situation. So, right now in the world, people are struggling with connecting with strangers, I think. And I don't think it's necessarily everywhere and all the time because a few people find ways to connect with strangers online. But we as human beings, most of us require a more embodied physical way of connecting, meeting someone in a public space, learning their body, proximity, the quality of their voice, the mannerisms, all these things, they are very, very important in the process of getting to know somebody. But in this current stage of the world that we are in right now, it's almost practically impossible to meet people at a social gathering because we can't just gather together with more than, I don't know, 10 people, 4 people, 5 people, wherever you're living. So right now, the most practical tools to meet romantic partners is online. Now, something that I think is very important to understand is that a lot of people are living in fear right now. A lot of people are living in fear because there is so much uncertainty. We don't know when things will start to get better again. There is very confusing news, etc., etc. So the stability of a long-term stable future is kind of robbed. It's taken away, and people lose their groundedness. They lose their sense of stability, and so opening yourself up to somebody you just met in a romantic way, showing your vulnerabilities, can be an even more threatening thing to do because of the uncertainty about the future in general, right? So we want to show ourselves to someone that we know is going to be there for a longer while, a longer time. Most of us don't just openly share ourselves with someone if we know that they will be leaving us within the next month, right? Sometimes if you meet a total stranger, it can be healing to share whatever you need to share, and then they venture off into the wilderness and you never see them again ever again, right? So this information was just for you to share it with a stranger, let it out of your system, and so they then leave. But if it's someone you are planning to build some kind of longer term connection with, then it's important to know that this person will at least stay within your sphere for an extended period of time if you want to really open up yourself and show who you really are, right? And so, because of this unstable, uncertain future, a lot of people are even more afraid, even more reserved to really show themselves, to really open up. And this is a crucial requirement for building romantic relationships, I believe. This is again my personal thoughts, my personal take on the topic. I am not saying that you can't build a romantic relationship without that you can't build it without being vulnerable and showing yourself. Although I believe, and against my personal belief, that it's practically impossible to really build a close, intimate relationship with a romantic partner if you don't show yourself, if you are not vulnerable with them, if you don't discuss the things you're struggling with, the fears you're facing, all these things, they are really, really important. And sorry, my disk is almost full, so let me see. Sorry about that. So my computer is filled up with a lot of files, and I deleted some of them, so now I should be able to record without any issues. So I lost my train of thought a little bit, but what I was talking about is that the fact that the uncertainty causes people to not open themselves up to their partner or to a potential partner, right? There's this fear of not knowing for sure whether you will be able to meet or hang out or spend time together. And an important part of getting to know someone is also seeing them in different environments, right? Seeing them in a social environment, seeing them in a bar, seeing them in a cafe, taking them out to a restaurant, being in a public place. These are all important parts of getting to know someone. And right now, it's not necessarily possible even to do these things, especially not in social gatherings, social settings. So this creates an even stronger protective shield for people, which prevents them from opening up to someone they are interested in, right? So meeting someone online, it can be a great tool to expose yourself to a lot of different people. But in the end, you will have to narrow it down to someone that you really resonate with and that you can see that, okay, we can build this connection. But the prerequisite to do that is the willingness to set aside this fear of this unstable future and take the leap, take a risk. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, to take the risk of, okay, we don't know necessarily the circumstances, how the circumstances will evolve, but we have faith and we trust the fact that we will find a way together, right? And I believe that by being straightforward about these things, by admitting that, hey, I am afraid that there is this unstable future and I don't really know how to deal with this. If you share these fears, this in and of itself can allow your intimacy to grow, you see? So I believe that during these times, finding a long-term partner, yes, it can be very, very difficult because there is so many things you can't explore with this person that you usually would explore. But then again, let's imagine that the world is going to be like this for the next 30 years. Then will nobody ever find a loved one? Will nobody ever be able to date properly? I don't think so. I think we will just have to adapt and learn new ways of relating to one another, building trust in different ways, because I believe that trust is the number one building block of a healthy working romantic relationship. The trust that you can bet on the other person taking interest in your interests. They are capitalizing on your best interests. That is what trust basically comes down to. And building this trust online can be very, very difficult. However, I believe it's possible to do that. I really believe it's possible to do that. If you can figure out ways to share your fears with the other person, which are honest and true, which are vulnerable, if you can do that, you can do it through text, you can do it through voice messages, and best of all, you can do it through video, right? You can do it through video, you can connect with video messages, with video calls, and the more you share about the things that you really struggle with, the thoughts you're having, the more you are able to show yourself vulnerably, the more this trust will build. However, it's also important to understand that not everybody is going to be willing to do that. Not everybody is going to be willing to take the risk. There's going to be only just a few people who are brave enough to give it a shot, right? And you also need to be brave enough to give it a shot, because it's a mutual thing. You gotta work on it together, and it's not that you will every single day find a new person who is suitable or who is suited for that. So you have to understand that yes, the pool of players in the game is so much larger when you hop online. There is a tremendous reach. Your access is almost limitless, if you will. But that doesn't mean you will find a suitable person every single day. It's more about find a person that you energetically connect with, and then try to use the different channels to build the trust. And building the trust can be based on consistency, it can be based on vulnerability, it can be based on speaking honestly, truthfully, sharing yourself. If you share parts of yourself that you would otherwise share in a social setting, you can share these parts of yourself through small messages, through small videos. You can share a thought you're having during the day. Oh, this is something that came to my mind. I thought I'd share it. Or you popped into my thoughts and I thought I'd share it. Or here is a music playlist that I've been listening to for a long time. Have a look. So you can share these bits and pieces of your personality, that so the other person can see that you are a real person with real particular unique things about you. And even though you cannot necessarily spend time in social settings, you can still share social things with each other that will build the trust between the two of you, right? But it comes down to understanding that a lot of people have a fear, a subconscious fear of committing themselves to another human being because of the unstable and insecure future. The situation, the pandemic situation, causes a lot of instability and a lot of fear, and people are so much more fearful than before, and so they have protective shields. So by opening up these protective shields also within yourself, by recognizing these protective shields within yourself, by allowing them to crumble a little bit, by tearing down your walls a little bit, by understanding that, okay, I am afraid, let me communicate that fear, because most likely the other person struggles with the same things. So if you take the lead, you take the responsibility, you show that, yes, of course, this is something that is on my mind. Of course, this is something that I'm thinking about. This is something that I'm struggling with. But if you can share it, if you can talk about it openly, if you take the lead, then you provide the other person with a platform, an opportunity to jump on the train and to share their fears. And then you can talk about these fears together. And this can greatly enhance the intimacy and the potential for intimacy, because now you are on the same wavelength. Now you can understand, okay, I am having this fear, he or she is having kind of the same fear, so let us meet in the middle, let's come together and let's figure out solutions, how we can mediate this fear, how we can mitigate this fear, how we can share the fact that we are afraid, but how we can also share how we can conquer this fear. Let's be brave together, right? This is a great thing to agree on. Let's be brave together. If I am afraid, I can share it with you, and if you are afraid, you can share it with me. And I think this attitude really allows you to get closer even from a distance, right? It's not always necessarily about being in close proximity together. So many couples, they live together 24/7, and they are more far apart than you could ever be if you would build this intimate, emotional, soulful connection with another human being from a distance. Does that make sense? Right? So there's people living together and they are in close proximity. They could even go to social events or whatever, but they feel more far apart than other people being in a long distance relationship, because they don't show themselves. They are not vulnerable. They don't share parts of themselves. They live in their own world. They are closed off from each other, even though they're physically close to each other. So it's absolutely possible to date during these times. It's dating during Corona is absolutely possible, because I believe it comes down to becoming aware of your fears, knowing that the other person, that your romantic interest also struggles with similar fears, most likely. So if you open up this channel and you can talk about it, that way you can really build the trust and share small parts of yourself during the day, during the evening, during the night, whenever you feel like it. Share small parts of yourself, show things that are important to you, be brave to share them with the person that you're interested in, because that way you can allow them to peek into your personality. You can allow them to peek into your life, because if you are dating in a normal situation where there is no raging pandemic, then you go out for a walk, or you take them to a restaurant, or you go to a party, and you constantly ping each other. You're looking, oh, how is he or she behaving in this situation, or what is he or she doing when this happens, or how is he or she behaving when another person comes in and starts talking, whatever it is, right? Subconsciously, you're picking up on all these things. You're paying attention. This is how you get to know this person. But if you are unable to do these things, then you can virtually create this environment a little bit by spontaneously sharing something that you're doing. And it's important to not overthink it too much, not be like, oh, should I say this or not? If it's you, if it's part of you, if it's what you do, then share it. Share it, tell it, show it, because you want ultimately the person that you are interested in to like you for what you do, for who you are, for your unique qualities and perks and imperfections and everything that comes with it, right? So if you break this shield of fear of trying to pretend to not be afraid, trying to pretend to live a great life online, because you can hide so much if you're online. You can choose to send one picture and right next to it there is your life is crumbling almost. So if you can break this shield, and if you can show that the other person doesn't have to build this wall in front of them, they don't have to pretend to be perfect. If you can share that you are afraid, and yes, you have imperfections, and you show things about your own personality on a regular basis, this builds trust, this builds intimacy. And I believe that by doing that on a consistent basis, by agreeing on the fact that yes, right now the situation is very unstable, but we will commit to building something together that can withstand this unstable situation. And if it's not able to do that, that's also okay. It's not a problem. Sorry, when two people agree to grow closer together and at some point they grow apart, this is part of the game. This is how it goes. You want to take the risk, because otherwise what you do, you stay closed, you protect yourself, and then you feel alone, and you can't really share yourself truly, honestly, and openly, because you're unwilling to take the risk. And I understand that it can be very painful to end up in a relationship that that ends, where two people find themselves not being aligned anymore, and it's very painful. I've been through a few of those, so I speak from experience for sure. Of course, I'm not speaking from experience during pandemic times, but I think it comes down to really communicating what you're afraid of and taking the lead, opening up these channels of communication, because so many people, they are afraid. And once you take the lead and you show that that you want to be brave, that you want to share these fears, and that people will not judge you for it, they will actually be relieved that, wow, I'm not alone with this. This can be such a relief if you're talking to a few people online that you're romantically interested in, and you find someone that you really connect with. Focus on this person, and don't try to protect yourself by keeping at the same distance or the same level of, like keep them apart from you. Try to feel into, okay, this person, I feel an alignment with him or her. I feel like we can grow closer. Then allow them to do that. Allow them to grow closer. Open yourself up to the possibility of building a more intimate connection by really sharing the things you're doing. Don't overthink them. Just share them out of nowhere. I'm listening to this song. It's amazing. Check it out. I did this today. Oh, I had a thought about that. Share that so the other person can pick up on these small, unique things about your personality, and that way you can build this kind of like common body of shared experiences, even though you're not together. You are together in the sense that you're building these shared experiences. You're not necessarily sharing them in a physical proximity, but in thought, in mind, you can share them, so you can have a shared body of experiences in mind. And of course, it's less than optimal, but it's not impossible. There's many people who have long distance relationships, for example, and they're able to be very close and intimate together because they found ways to transcend the communication channels. They know that their hearts and their souls and their minds, they are connected, and the means of communication is just the channel. So you can have a connected soul and heart and be close together and feel each other's bodies, yes, but you can also be far apart with a lot of distance in between and still share this heart soul connection. And then there is a different channel that can allow for this communication. It can be a video call, it can even be a prayer or a meditation or a mindfulness practice where you don't even directly speak with the person, but in mind, in spirit, you are with them, right? So allowing yourself to share these energies with another human being, to open yourself up vulnerably and to speak your fears, to communicate your fears, this builds trust. And this is the key, number one key factor in building a healthy relationship. So you want to avoid protecting yourself too much. And of course, in the beginning, you don't know who is this person, so you should not dive head first immediately. I don't recommend you doing that, but I do recommend you entertaining the possibility of sharing some of your fears and sharing some of your mundane activities, even though your life right now might not be that interesting because you're sitting at home doing basically nothing. But there is still things that are interesting about your personality. You see, you're still doing things, you're still thinking about things, you're still talking to people. Maybe you find something interesting on the internet, you listen to a new song, whatever it is. Everybody is living their lives 24/7, right? So there is things happening. So it's not about, oh, now I don't have anything interesting to share with this person. It's not really true, because again, this comes down to raising your awareness, increasing your awareness. Is that, okay, pay attention to what you do in a day. Really be conscious about it. What did I do? What did I think about? Pay attention, because if you don't, then of course your day seems so boring, you didn't do anything because it seems all just the same. But I assure you that this morning when you were brushing your teeth, you might have had a very interesting idea that you were all of a sudden thinking about, and you were just not really paying attention to it. You were not really aware, but this is part of your personality. This is a key, unique thing that you can share with a potential romantic partner, because this is unique about you. Your thoughts, your experiences, they are unique to you. So these are interesting to a person who you are romantically interested in and who is equally romantically interested in you, of course. Like, you don't want to share all these things with somebody who doesn't care about you at all. So you want to feel whether there is a mutual exchange of information, a mutual exchange of attention and energy. And thinking about certain things during the day can be an interesting thing to share. Oh, hey, I was just brushing my teeth and I had this interesting thought. I thought I'd share it with you. And this can create a dialogue and you get to know each other like that. It's a different way, because sometimes when you are on a date or something, you go to a bar and you talk about stuff together. there is no space necessarily for, oh, I had this interesting thought, let me share it with you, you know. So you just need to find different ways to share your personality with the other person, to share bits and pieces of yourself, to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be honest, to show yourself. Because if you don't do that, then you will feel like, okay, I am projecting, or I'm presenting this perfect image of myself, and it feels hollow, it feels empty, it feels fake, and you're even more afraid because, oh, what if this person finds out that I'm not that perfect as I'm trying to portray here? That's a problem. That blocks the flow of intimate energy. It blocks this because you're protecting yourself. You're showing yourself more perfect than you actually are. And this then again can cause the other person to not really trust you, because they subconsciously know that you are not perfect. They are not perfect, so they know you are not perfect. So they feel that you are not really honestly committed to showing yourself. You're protecting yourself by presenting this perfect image, and this blocks the stream of intimate energy. It blocks. There is protection. There is shields, and subconsciously you pick up on that. The vibration of pretending to be perfect is in and of itself a shield you want to pull up in order to protect yourself. You're unwilling to really take the risk. Think about this. It means that you're unwilling to really take the risk to getting hurt. And I'm not saying that, oh, you should take the risk to get hurt all the time. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying though is that true intimacy, it it inherently involves risk. That's the payoff. It's the same thing with investing. You can make huge gains without taking bigger risks. That's just how it is. It is what it is. You can't get around that. You have to be willing to put your heart on the table in order to gain the extreme fulfillment of a true, honest, intimate companionship. This is just the reality. So you have to be willing to do that. And by pretending to be perfect online, which is quite easy to do, you block this stream of potential loving, intimate energy. So I highly recommend, I invite you to share the small, imperfect pieces of yourself. Today, I really struggled with this, and I don't really know what to do about it. I thought I'd share it with you. And you don't need to solve the problem for me. I just wanted to share it with you so we can have a conversation about it, or whatever it is, simple things. And of course, right in the start, if you meet somebody for the first week, these are not necessarily the things you want to talk about, right? You want to talk about more lighthearted stuff, things you both like. Okay, start off easy, take it easy. Don't go heads first, all in, super deep divers immediately, right? This can scare people away, especially when they're even more scared and afraid because of the current pandemic situation, right? So you want to ease into it. You want to feel a little bit if the interaction and the connection is suitable for starting to share more intimate things. But I believe that once you reach the point where you feel, okay, we are connecting, there is this energy that we find attractive in each other, then you gotta take the next step, and you gotta be willing to risk being hurt, getting hurt. You gotta be willing to risk that. Otherwise you will never show the trust in the other person, because taking the risk, showing that you're willing to get hurt, is actually a huge message of trust towards the other person. It shows that I trust you with my vulnerability. I trust you to not abuse this vulnerability. I trust you to reciprocate my sensitive feelings, you see? And you don't want to, like, as like a waterfall or like a tsunami, wash over them with your vulnerabilities. That's not what I'm saying. Of course, you don't want to overdo it. You want to be a little bit careful about it. Of course, it's your right to do that. I don't recommend you tear your heart out and just give it to them like this immediately after the first week of talking with each other. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that eventually you want to present your vulnerable parts to them, which shows that you trust them with these parts of yourself, and this in return allows them to do the same. So take the lead, carefully inject these small bits and pieces in your conversations with each other, I invite you to talk in video, because there is just more information being conveyed. You can see facial expressions, you can hear their voice, stuff like that. And share small bits and pieces of your personality during the day or during the night, thoughts you're having. I am sure you have interesting things to share and to talk about, even though sometimes you feel like you're not because you're inside all day. But you're thinking, you're in your mind, you're doing things. So there are interesting things. And so increasing your awareness about this topic will also be valuable for you personally, right? Because otherwise you're like, oh, my life is so shit. But once you start paying attention to the things you're doing and the thoughts you're having, then you can be like, oh, well, it's actually not that bad. Like, I have quite interesting thoughts. I am doing research, whatever it is, or I just feel shit all day and I'm in my bed, but I'm still figuring out ways to deal with that. That's also great. That's also something that you can share, because it's the human condition. It's very relatable. People suffer from these things all the time. So who knows, maybe he or she is struggling with the exact same thing, and then you can discuss this and you can talk about this and you can reach out for each other, and you can share solutions or thoughts you're having about how to deal with these situations and stuff like that. And then you can build this shared goal, even of figuring out ways to fill your days with more interesting things. For example, right? Figuring out a shared goal is also something that can be very useful in building a more intimate connection with someone. So these are just a few of my thoughts around dating during Corona. I hope they were helpful. It was just a flow of consciousness, just my thoughts as they came to me. So I hope it was valuable for you somehow. And if you feel like things resonated with you, please feel free to drop me a like, drop me a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with a friend or a loved one who is struggling with dating during Corona. And hopefully my input, my thoughts can help them see things from a different perspective, and hopefully experiment with this for themselves, and ultimately, even more hopefully, find someone that they really resonate with and can connect with, because of the things that I shared in this video. Not, of course, only because of the things I shared in this video, but just the thoughts they were having after listening to my words. So I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me talk about the thoughts that are coming to my mind. I really appreciate you doing that. I don't take it for granted at all. Time is a very valuable resource, so I feel honored that I could captivate your attention and share my thoughts with you. It's incredible that you resonate with the things that I'm saying, so I feel very grateful for that. So I want to thank you for watching. And I also want to thank you for being brave, and thank you for looking inwards, because this means that you are actively working on improving yourself and you want to make this world a better place. And I believe you are doing exactly that if you are being brave and if you're looking inward. When you're being brave, when you're looking inward, you're doing exactly that, and I appreciate you for that. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.